Right. Kevin Bond. Tyler Denham.
Present.
Okay, scared me there for a minute, Tyler. Kevin Doby. Karen Flores.
I'm here.
Sandy Flores.
I'm here.
Jackie Kellogg.
Here.
Kevin Bond.
Here.
Devonna McLaughlin.
Here.
Moses Milazzo.
I'm here.
Sarah Miles.
Here.
Corey Runge. Jen Vargas.
Present.
Haley Zaroya. All right, back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Item number 3 is our land acknowledgement. Do I have a commissioner who would like to volunteer to read the land acknowledgement? Trying to make eye contact in boxes just does not work. All right, seeing nobody, I'll go for it. The Housing Commission humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by native descendants, border mountains sacred to indigenous peoples. We honor them, their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home. Item number 4 for us is public comment. At this time, any member of the public may address the commission on any subject within their jurisdiction that is not scheduled before the commission on that day. Due to open meeting laws, the commission cannot discuss or act on items presented during this portion of the agenda. To address the commission on an item that is on the agenda, please wait for the chair to call for public comment at the time the item is heard. Do we have anyone for public comment today? Adriana, anyone?
I don't have anything,
okay.
And no members of the public are present as far as I can see.
Cool, perfect. I didn't think so either, but I didn't want to just assume. All right, item number 5A is consideration and approval of the minutes for our Housing Commission meeting held August 28th, 2025. I'd be looking for a motion from a commissioner to approve the minutes from the August 28th, 2025 Housing Commission meeting as presented.
I'll make that motion, Devonna.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Flores. Is there a second? Tyler, you good seconding? Yeah, so Tyler Denham is the second. Any comments or changes, concerns? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much. The minutes are approved. Item 6A, sorry, I had to turn my page, is a welcome and introduction of our newly appointed commissioners. So I'm happy to welcome Sarah Miles, who is the medical case manager at Coconino County Health and Human Services, and Jen Vargas, who's the development director for Habitat for Humanity of Northern Arizona. I'm happy if either or both of you guys would like to take a couple minutes to introduce yourself to the commission, but I also won't put you on the spot. So Sarah, do you want to say something first?
Sure. Thank you so much for introducing me, and thank you for this appointment. I'm very excited for it. I am a medical case manager, one of 2 at Coconino County Health and Human Services, provide case management to folks living with HIV, and that intersects with housing a lot, as you can imagine. And in my role, I am often on the forefront of housing issues and seeing the struggle of housing for low-income folks. So,
awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Well, welcome to the commission. I think you'll find we're a fun group. We're excited to have you. And
Seems
then,
like it.
and then Jen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Vargas. I work with Habitat as the development director. Some or maybe all of you have been privy to our starter home program, which Eric and I have been working super hard on. And, we really have a lot of firsthand experience with the low to moderate income folks in this town, me being one of them probably, but excited to serve on the commission and kind of see what I can bring to the table.
Cool. Also, also welcome. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us and sharing your time. And we look forward to having you guys on for the next, is it 3 years, Adriana, that they've committed to? Does it? Anyway, however long, it's a commitment. We appreciate it. So thank you very much. All right, item 6B is boards and commissions training and open meeting law refresher. This is an informational item only, and I'm going to turn it over to Georgiana. Did I say that right? I hope
Yes.
Stasky, the deputy city clerk.
Yes, yep, Georgina Statsky, Deputy City Clerk here. I have a PowerPoint. We have a couple new people, some returning people, so it's going to be a little bit of a refresher for some information for new people, especially if they haven't had time to quite do the training yet. So just wanted to go over kind of the boards and commissions program and boards and commissions role within the city. So let me share my screen here. All right. Let me reshare. Sometimes it does this, sometimes it does not. Let's do. Okay. Are you still seeing my screen?
We are not
No?
seeing it.
Okay.
No.
Let's try again. So sorry.
There we go.
Awesome. Let me do. Okay. I think you're seeing the side with what shows as the next slide, and I'm not for some reason able to switch that right now, but that's okay. Can you see that screen though?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's go from there. Okay. So yes, boards and commissions, open meeting law refresher. On today's agenda, we have the roles of boards and commissions, kind of going over open meeting law and reviewing some conflict of interest law, and then we'll have some time for questions. Okay, that might be a little bit better. Okay, so September appointments, we had some new people come on. They just did some introductions, which was wonderful, Sarah and Jennifer. And then Jackie for your continued service. So I just wanted to take a minute to appreciate everyone who continues to serve. It's quite a commitment, especially with a board and a commission with so many members. So again, just appreciate everyone's time. Okay, so roles for boards and commissions is they make recommendations to council. Council can accept those recommendations, change provisions on the recommendation, send it back for further consideration, or not accept the recommendation at all. Staff liaisons roles are to ensure compliance with open meeting law, which we'll get into a little bit more, answer questions related to city policies and procedures, coordinate involvement with other departments or commissions, and then reporting on the commission recommendations to council. So once you guys have an item and you're vote on it and there's a consensus, again, boards and commissions move in the majority. So when you have a majority for a recommendation, your staff liaison is the one reporting that to council. Oh, am I back?
You're back. We can hear you.
Okay, sorry. My office seems to be glitching. Apologies. So types of boards and commissions. So we have some boards, some commissions, some committees. They're classified as advisory, ad hoc, or quasi-judicial. Advisory is the most common. Again, housing would fall under advisory, making those recommendations to council. Ad hoc are to study or review certain issues designated by city council. And then quasi judicial is a public body other than the court of law that has the power to make decisions. So like the Board of Adjustment, Building and Fire Code of Appeals, they can actually make those authoritative decisions. All right, so we have subcommittees and informal working groups, which can come off of the boards and commissions. So subcommittees are charged with a specific duty. For example, we have our Transportation Commission, and the Bicycle Advisory Committee and Pedestrian Advisory Committee have been committees that have formed from the Transportation Commission, and they actually report to the Transportation Commission. So they're very specific roles. Informal working groups are a little bit different. I see these pretty commonly. I'm not sure how often you guys utilize informal working groups, but they can be used to create research and gather information and provide recommendations back to the commission for specific purposes. Working groups can consist of members of the public, which is also really nice. You have to have less than a quorum of commissioners. But the nice thing about informal working groups is they're not required to have agendas or minutes and kind of fall out of the open meeting law spectrum because you have less than a quorum. So it's really helpful, especially when there's additional work needed outside the commission and you can kind of get some more public input. All the information and recommendations from the working group must be presented to the commission once you have that quorum again in the open meeting discussion. And then no action statements or recommendations can be made or provided by the working group on behalf of the commission. Working groups are not required to have the formal agendas or minutes. Okay, so open meeting law has two main core concepts. So I'll kind of go into those first and just kind of go through the statutes and then we'll kind of break down what that means. So all meetings of any public body shall be public meetings, and all persons so desiring shall be permitted to attend, listen to the deliberations and proceedings. And that second concept is that it is the public policy of the state that meetings of public bodies be conducted openly, that notices and agendas be provided for such meetings that contain information reasonably necessary to inform the public of the matters being discussed and decided. So kind of breaking that down a little bit, meetings should be open and follow requirements of when and where the meeting will occur. Your agenda will always have this information. And all the information that's going to be discussed. That's why it's really important that if action's being taken, that's clear that that's on the agenda so the public's aware, so the commissioners are aware. And then we have a minimum of 24 hours of public notice that's required. So that's why you often see either at least 24 hours, maybe even more time than that. Staff is getting that information out to you. Again, so that everyone's able to come to the table and make informative decisions and the public is aware as well. Legal action must take place in the public meeting, and proposing and discussing of action also must take place in the public meeting. And we'll kind of get into a little bit later as well, but that's really important to note. Just for example, you may see your staff liaison either have a disclaimer in email saying, don't reply all, or maybe they BCC you. And that's because we don't want discussion on items that should be happening in front of the public. So that's why it's the discussing and taking action on the item. Only agenda items may be discussed. That's why we also have the open call. So people have that opportunity to bring things up to the commission outside of what's on the agenda. The exception to this rule is going to be executive sessions. I'm not sure if you guys have had or utilize executive sessions. They're more common for city council, so you'll see an agenda still posted for them. but they have kind of the exception, some of the exceptions to open meeting law. It's very specific items they can meet on, and it's typically when you're needing legal advice to either commission members, council members, things of that sort. Okay, so what constitutes as a meeting? A meeting is a gathering in person or through technological devices of a quorum of a public body which they discuss, propose, or take action, including deliberations. So again, kind of just going back to that, email communications. One of the programs we run in our office is the public records requests. And we actually do get requests, asking for email communications, typically more directed at city council, but it has happened for commissioners. Again, that's why we don't do the to section, or there's a disclaimer coming from your staff liaison not to reply all. If you have questions on the agenda or things like that, just, reaching out directly to the staff liaison, they can help you. If you have information you want to share with the commission, best practice would be to give that information to the staff liaison. And you guys can either work out whether it needs to be an agenda item or they just disperse it again through that BCC measure, just to make sure there's no deliberations going on, people going back and forth about ideas, because then it turns into discussions. Emails are public record. Again, it does get requested. And it doesn't matter if it's a personal laptop, personal phone, want to avoid group text, things like that, because that does actually constitute as a meeting and deliberations or discussions are happening. So quorum requirement, before every meeting you start, you make sure you have a quorum. The average number of commissioners is actually 7, so usually people only need 4, but you guys have 13, so you guys need about 7 to have a quorum. So again, a lot of moving pieces. Staff has a lot of people to coordinate with, and I know it takes a lot of time out of everyone's personal lives. So again, just thanking you all for your service and the dedication you've provided. If you don't have a quorum though, you cannot meet. You don't have a majority to make a decision. And again, boards and commissions, they always move in the majority. So there are penalties if we violate open meeting law. If found of an open meeting law violation, a court can levy a fine up to $500, and the commissioner is personally responsible to pay that fine. And you're also subject to removal from office. Open meeting law is taken very seriously in Arizona, and so just making sure we comply. And if there's questions ever, your staff liaison's always able to assist. I'm able to assist. My information's on the last slide. If there's ever any questions, I'm happy to help. Social events. So if a quorum is present, it's also a small town, so I'm sure we see lots of people just at different events or similar circles. If there's going to be a quorum present, we can post actually for a notice of quorum. And this is just really good public transparency to let the public know, yes, we know the Housing Commission, a majority may be there, but no one's going to be discussing, no votes are going to be happening. So it's not a problem. It happens. We can post for it. The other thing just to keep in mind is maybe public perception. So if 4 or 5, not 4 or 5, if 7 or 8 of you are at a social event together, maybe just avoiding, lengthy discussions at one point together, because that public perception could be that maybe there's a violation, maybe they're talking about, and again, we posted for, we will not be discussing items at this event, but just that public perception that can come with that. And it is just a lot of responsibility to know and kind of just have that on your radar of what that may look like outside of your shoes, because it may, again, maybe you're not talking about anything with the Housing Commission, but to see 8 of you there and just how someone may see that. Okay. So moving into decorum a little bit and how meetings are run. So the chair is the presiding officer. And they run the meetings in the absence of the chair. The vice chair acts as chair. There we go. Members may speak after recognition by the chair, and the chair shall not unreasonably withhold such recognition. So if there's a topic that there are a lot of speakers on, or maybe it's getting a little heated, when 2 or more members want to speak, the chair shall determine the order of the speaking and recognize the first speaker and the speakers as they go through if there's a list there. While a member is speaking, no other member shall interrupt except to make a point of order or a point of personal privilege. Some other tips for meetings, just refraining from side conversations during that meeting. We're here for open public discussions and just keeping that at the forefront of our minds. Turning off your phone or computer sounds, just distractions, and then waiting for the previous person to finish their comments and speaking clearly for the audience. That's important, especially as we have these virtual meetings. Just being able to hear everyone, the recording can hear everyone. It's easily accessible by that means, and anyone could understand what the speaker is saying. If you're unable to attend in person, just contacting your staff liaison to either attend virtually or to get just to let them know you won't be present. For other commissions, sometimes, especially when there's 7 or less people, it really impacts quorum when there's constant absences. So just being able to communicate that so we can always make sure we have enough to move in that majority. As a general rule, a commission may recommend the removal of any member who is absent more than 2 consecutive regular meetings without prior notification. All right, so I'm going to go into a little bit of conflict of interest. If there are specific questions or situations, if you, again, my information will be at the end. I'm happy to look into it with the attorney, but just kind of high level, there are different kinds of conflict of interest. So substantial would be generally any interest that affects you or your relatives' financial or property interests. For substantial conflicts of interest, you'll want to refrain from voting or participating in the decision. So you can actually leave the room. You could log off the meeting until your staff liaison messages you that the discussion is done. And it's important to make the conflict of interest known for the official record. So if there's an item coming up and, there may be a conflict of interest, stating that so that, it doesn't look like you're just leaving the meeting. But stating that for the record, so that can be noted in the minutes. Remote is when there's interest, our financial and property interests to be deemed so minor that it doesn't trigger non-participation requirements, and you can still vote in that. In general, if you have, questions about this one and whether it is remote or substantial, again, you can reach out. But if there are many people involved in the decision, like it's not just you, that would fall more under remote. But again, happy to clarify for anyone. And then any gifts or bribes, we don't want to be accepting any of those from the public, from other commission members, just how it looks from the perspective of voting and how that looks. So accepting any concert, dinner, gift certificates, don't want to accept gifts, and it could be an open meeting law violation. So this is my information. We also have our manual online. The current training online is a little dated, so we're working on getting that up to date as well. Were there any questions? I couldn't see the team, so I'm not sure if any hands are raised. But were there any questions so far or about anything that I went over?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute and cough at the same time. So if any commissioner has a comment or question, if you can put a C or a Q in the chat, that would be great, so I can call on you. I'll give it one more quick second. Alrighty, well, if something comes across your mind and you have a question, then please reach out to Georgiana or to Adriana, who can connect you to the city clerk's office to get clarification on whatever you might have questions on. So thank you so much for coming and sharing information with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and I saw you put your email in the chat, so thank you for that. And awesome. All righty. Okay, then if we're done with that presentation, we'll move on to item number 7A, which is election of commission chair and vice chair for a one-year term. The terms would end September 2026. I do want to say, in case you're hesitant to jump in here on this topic, that I'll finish running this meeting and you would get to take over at our next meeting, so you don't get thrown in the fire on this particular meeting. But we're looking for nominations. Commissioners can nominate themselves or others. There needs to be a motion for this item. So it needs to be somebody who makes a motion to be appointed for the term starting in the October 2025 meeting. And I am ineligible to serve as chair for this coming year, as I've held the position for 2 years. So I'm happy to literally move the imaginary gavel over to someone else. So I think we'll start by asking for any nominations for the chair position. Don't all jump. You've been waiting for this agenda topic, I'm sure. Feel like I'm like the teacher in Ferris Bueller, like Bueller. Anybody want to nominate themselves? Adriana has a comment. I would love to turn it over to you, Adriana.
I'm sure you would, Chair
Yep.
McLaughlin. I just want to say that someone has to do it. So if you feel comfortable enough to do this, and if you are looking for a leadership position, this is a great opportunity. Happy to meet one-on-one or whatever you may need. We're not just going to throw you in there, as Chair McLaughlin said. So.
And Adriana does like give you the Cliff's Notes versions before meetings. So yeah, and we'll also let you know if you skip an agenda item in the middle of a meeting, so you can go back. I don't want to make it sound super easy, but if I did it, anyone could do it, really. Come on down. I don't know what we do, Adriana, if nobody's even making eye contact with me. I'm not in a room where I could like look at someone directly.
You are welcome to nominate
Moses. Oh,
somebody.
Moses has a comment.
All right, I'll self-nominate. I'm not excited about it, but I'll self-nominate.
All right, we have a nomination for Moses to be our chair for the term starting October 25. Anyone else want to throw their hat in the ring? Anybody want to second Moses's nomination?
I'll second.
I knew that would happen. Okay, so we have a nomination for Moses and a second from Sandy to appoint Moses as the chair of the Housing Commission starting in October 2025 for a one-year term. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, okay, sorry. I want to get all my ayes. Any opposed?
This is Moses. I'm opposed. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That'd be awesome. All right. I don't know if I have to take your oppose or if I can pretend I didn't hear it, or if you voted for both, but Adriana.
I'm an aye. I'm not
Okay.
opposed.
Good. Awesome. Perfect. Just want to
I
I was
feel
just
clarify.
trying to
too
lighten
new
the
to
mood.
put my
Yeah.
hat in the fire.
Awesome. All right. Perfect. So we've got Moses then. Any abstains? Okay, perfect. Rock on. Okay, so then we'll move on to vice chair. Jen, did I hear you pipe up there, or am I?
Oh, I was just making light of the situation. I just feel too new to even put my foot in the fire.
Oh, yeah, it'll come around to you one of these days. I'm sure of it.
Okay, I'll self-nominate later on.
Okay. All right. Anybody want to nominate another friend or themselves for vice chair for a one-year term? This is the easier.
I'll nominate myself. Where I've been president before, I'm fairly confident that I could redo it if Moses isn't able to attend.
Awesome. All
Thanks,
right. Thank
Tyler.
you, Tyler, for nominating yourself. We appreciate that. Because I did it for Moses, I'll do it for Tyler too. Anyone else want to jump in for vice chair? For a nomination for themselves or someone else? Okay, then I need a second for Tyler's nomination for vice chair.
I'll second.
Oh, I
Let
heard.
Karen do it.
Okay, Karen got it. Okay, so Karen has seconded the motion to have Tyler serve as vice chair. Any further discussion? Rock on. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Yay. All right. Thank you all. That was the hardest topic on our agenda, I think. So I appreciate you guys, Moses and Tyler, for helping us run meetings and leading our great cause moving forward. I will look forward to showing up to meetings and not have to not screw up the agenda. So thank you for taking that on. All right. So to get us through today, then, item number 7B is a review and recommendation for the Community Homebuyer Assistance Program, also known fondly as CHAP. It's the bond-funded expansion, and we will look to have a recommendation from the commission to forward to council, and I'm turning it over to Adriana.
Thank you, Chair, and just give me 1 second while I set up my screen. Can you all see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay. Right. I'm with Georgiana. Sometimes this wants to do what it's supposed to do, and then other times it just doesn't. Okay. Sorry, y'all.
We lost your screen too, Adriana.
All right, let me keep trying here.
Adriana,
Bear
if
with
it's not
me.
if it's not working, I'm happy to run it for you if you email it to me.
Okay. I should have it up in just a second. Of course, the one time that I need it to go, it just does not. Justina, can you run it for me? I don't know what is going on with this.
Yeah, send it over.
Okay.
If you could send me the PowerPoint version, that'd be easier.
Okay.
If anyone needed a restroom break, now would be the time.
Seriously.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get me off the printer.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, guys. I still don't see it, Adriana.
It's loading still, unfortunately.
Do you want me to move on to item 8A while you guys get that ready? Would that help?
Do it. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let us know when you're up and ready to go, but I'll move on to item 8A, which is an update from our Housing Authority liaison. So Moses, I'm putting you on the spot. You got any updates for us?
I do, yes, thank you. I was not looking at the minutes because I thought we were doing the other one, but here we go. So we met last week and then we had to have an emergency meeting. Emergency isn't the right, non-regular meeting this morning, and I'll get to that in a minute. The action items that we had last week were to set the fair market rents and voucher payment standards for the housing authority. These were basically standard values that needed to be set according to HUD. So there was, if we didn't set them and we didn't agree to it, then we would have lost the program essentially. So, and I would like to note that the fair market rent for the Flagstaff area includes all of Coconino County, which means that the values that HUD sets are actually lower than the rents that we see here in Flagstaff. And those rents are usually about 2 years behind. So the numbers that we're seeing right now coming from HUD are relatively low compared with the reality that we see here in our community. But we can't do much about that. So we are kind of stuck with being 2 years behind and using a value that includes a much broader area that are generally at lower rent values. We also talked about updating the utility allowance, and we approved that resolution for the Flagstaff area. And you may remember that the voucher program had been expanded to include Williams because we took over Williams vouchers, and so we have to set those separately, and that was the reason for the meeting this morning, was so that we could get those set before the October deadline. And then we had a couple of discussion items, but those were the two and a half, three action items we took this week.
Cool. Did rents then go up from last year, the fair market rents and then the subsequent payment standards, or?
Let me double check. I need to look at the actual numbers. I didn't memorize those numbers. And I don't have them in front of me. So give me a moment and I'll double check.
Yeah, sorry, I am really putting you on the spot. Just going out of
That's
order
okay.
and asking you questions. Okay.
That's all right.
Okay, I'll come back to that to give you time because it looks like Adriana's ready. So we'll drill Moses with questions here in a second. And then, Adriana, do you want to give us your presentation?
Yes, please. Thank you for being patient with me and technology. As you know, I'm Adriana Fisher, the Housing Program Manager and your very own Housing Commission Liaison. Today, I'm here to talk with you about the bond-funded expansion of the Community Homebuyer Assistance Program, also known as CHAP. Justina, do you want to go to the next slide, please? There we go. So today I'll provide a brief background of the CHAP program, starting with some background and a snapshot of the housing market. CHAP consists of two phases. The first phase focuses on down payment and closing cost assistance. So we'll review the existing program criteria and then we'll walk through a few proposed updates. Then we'll shift to phase two, the permanent affordability pilot, before we move on to the next steps for the program. Then we'll have some time for questions and comments at the very end. As you may recall, in November of 2022, Flagstaff voters approved a $20 million bond to support rental and home ownership opportunities for local residents. Of that $20 million bond, $7 million was specifically allocated to expand CHAP. Next slide, please. CHAP was designed to help Flagstaff residents on their journey to homeownership by offering both education and financial support. Specifically, it provides a one-time non-forgivable loan to eligible households who may financially be ready to take on a mortgage but need assistance with upfront costs such as down payment and closing costs. Established in 1998 to serve middle-income households, CHAP has evolved to meet the changing housing needs of the community and adapt to shifting market conditions. Until recently, CHAP was funded through the city's general fund, which required an annual budget approval to secure the resources. This version of the program was fully depleted in February of 2025. Thank you, Devonna and team, for taking care of that. In response to council's direction given in October of 2024, staff were able to launch a bond-funded version of CHAP just last month. We've all been so excited about it. This was following a competitive procurement process that selected Housing Solutions of Northern Arizona to administer the program. This new funding source provides greater sustainability and expands the program's reach. One of CHAP's defining features, its revolving loan model, because loans are never, ever, ever forgiven. Repaid funds return to a dedicated special revenue account, and then they're reinvested to support future first-time home buyers. Next slide, please. You may recognize these figures from Karen's presentation back in, I believe, June or July, and then from the annual report for the 10-year housing plan just last month. I'm revisiting them again today because it's important to understand the current housing market for reshaping effective policy and support strategies. As of July of 2025, affordability continues to be one of the most significant barriers in Flagstaff's housing market. Cost of living in Flagstaff is 21.2% higher than the national average. Housing costs are over 51% higher than the national average. The median home price across all property home types is approximately $685,000, while single-family homes average around $787,000. Homes are staying on the market longer, now averaging 49 days compared to 20 days a year ago, and only 24% of current listings are under 500,000, with most listings falling between 500 and 900,000. Given these conditions, many local buyers are still heavily dependent on dual incomes, financial assistance programs, or support from family to make homeownership a reality. Next slide, please. This slide is also probably familiar to you from last month's presentation, again with help from Karen and some other helpers. But I wanted to revisit this one to provide a clear snapshot of current home prices and what those prices translate to in monthly housing payments, assuming a debt to income ratio of no more than 45% for both. Let's start with condominiums, which remain one of the most affordable homeownership options. The mean condo price is $345,000, even with a modest 3% down payment and a 7% interest rate. The monthly housing payment still exceeds $3,000. To afford this, a household would need an annual income between $82,000 and $95,000. At the other end of the spectrum are single-family homes, the most expensive housing type. The median price now is $787,000. With similar assumptions, a 3% down payment and near 7% interest rate, the monthly payment now exceeds $6,100. To qualify for that, a household would need an annual income of $165,000 to $177,000, or more than twice Flagstaff's median household income of $69,700. Clearly, the market has shifted significantly since 2020. Affordability is no longer just a concern. It's a central challenge for many households in Flagstaff. The CHAP program has a set of eligibility requirements designed to ensure that assistance reaches those who need it and who are rooted in the community. So to qualify, homebuyers must meet the following criteria. They must be a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident. They must have lived or worked within the Flagstaff Metropolitan Planning Organization, otherwise known as the FMPO boundary, for at least 1 year. They must have not owned a home within the FMPO area in the last 3 years. They must occupy the home as their primary residence. They must have a household income at or below 150% of the area median income, or currently just over 152,000 for a household of 3, and maintain a debt to income ratio of 45% or less, though staff is proposing flexibility to allow the debt to income to go up to 50% on a case-by-case basis with city approval. As shown on the map, the FMPO boundary covers 525 square miles, extending from Belmont to Winona and from the San Francisco Peaks south to Kachina Village in Mountain Air. Next slide, please. So in addition to the homebuyer eligibility requirements, the property must also meet its own criteria to qualify for CHAP assistance. First, the home must be located within Flagstaff city limits because we are using city funds. Eligible property types include those listed on the screen, and manufactured homes must be permanently affixed to the land. The home must be financed with a 30-year loan at a competitive interest rate, and the loan amount must be below the jumbo limit, which last time I looked was at $806,500. The property must be livable and meet both lender occupancy and purchase guidelines. While home inspection is strongly recommended, it is not required since the home buyer will sign a hold harmless agreement. And lastly, the housing ratio, which is the percentage of gross income spent on housing, must not exceed 35%. But staff are proposing a small change here to introduce a housing cost range of 30 to 35%. This added flexibility will allow staff and the program administrators to better assess household need. Next slide, please. Justine. Oh, there we go. CHAP offers up to $50,000 in down payment and closing cost assistance based on a 10-to-1 matching ratio. That means if a buyer contributes $5,000, they're eligible to receive the full $50,000 loan. Currently, the minimum buyer contribution is $1,000. However, staff are recommending increasing it to $2,500 to ensure that buyers have a greater financial stake in the home purchase. This can help foster long-term commitment and more successful outcomes in home ownership. Next slide, please. Thank you. Once a home is purchased with CHAP assistance, repayment is not required immediately. Instead, repayment is triggered if the buyer either sells the home, moves out and no longer uses it as their primary residence, or refinances the mortgage for cash out. When repayment is triggered, it's calculated using a shared appreciation formula, which we will go over, based on a percentage of CHAP assistance provided at the time of purchase. One key exception is if the home is already part of the permanent affordability program, which already includes its own resale restrictions, CHAP's shared appreciation requirement does not apply. Here's an example. A buyer purchases a home for $500,000. They receive a $50,000 assistance loan in CHAP, which is 10% of the purchase price. Years later, they sell their home for $550,000. Since CHAP covered 10% of the original purchase, the repayment would be 10% of the $550,000, which is $55,000. That's $5,000 more than the original loan amount. However, to encourage early repayment, staff are recommending a new benefit. So if the loan is repaid within the first 7 years, the shared appreciation would be cut in half. Using the same example, instead of repaying $55,000, the buyer would then repay $52,500. Wow. All right. Are there any questions? I thought I saw the chat.
Moses has added the information for his topic later.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's move on to phase 2 of the program, which is the permanent affordability pilot. First and foremost, the goal of this pilot is very simple: to help local residents purchase a home they can afford in the neighborhood of their choice, while also growing Flagstaff's stock of permanently affordable homes. As we've discussed, single-family homes are increasingly out of reach for many working households. Take the home pictured here in the NoHo neighborhood, recently listed for $475,000. While that price may seem relatively low for Flagstaff, which it is, it still equates to a monthly housing cost of over $3,000, which is well beyond what many local families can afford. This pilot aims to change that. Here's how it works. A household earning up to 125% of the area median income, or about $127,000 a year for a household of 3, would be eligible. The maximum home price under the program would be $600,000. The city would provide up to 30% of the purchase price. That's up to $180,000 on a $600,000 home. In exchange, the home is permanently deed restricted to remain affordable for future buyers. And since there is no repayment, if a home buyer no longer occupies a home as their primary residence, then they would be required to sell the home to an eligible buyer who is going to live in the home. Importantly, there is no required minimum buyer contribution under this pilot, but households must still qualify for a traditional mortgage. The rest of the eligibility requirements are similar to the current CHAP down payment assistance program. And we can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. Again, under the pilot program, the city's contribution does not need to be repaid by the home buyer. Instead, the property is secured through a ground lease or a deed restriction to make it permanently affordable for future generations. Other key terms of the program include the home must be used for residential purposes only, so short-term rentals are prohibited. The city must approve any significant construction or alterations. No liens may be filed against the property or the land. The city retains the right of first refusal, which basically allows the city to purchase the home whenever it is resold. And finally, the homeowner is required to resell the home to another eligible buyer. These protections ensure that public investment results in lasting affordability while still offering home buyers the opportunity for stability and long-term residency. Thank you. Let's walk through a simple scenario to show how this pilot program would work in practice. A home is listed for $600,000. Under the pilot, the city would contribute 30% of the purchase price, which equals $180,000. That means that the home buyer would only need to finance $420,000. This structure significantly reduces the buyer's monthly housing costs and puts single-family home ownership within reach for households that would otherwise be priced out of the market. Moving on to the next one. Now let's walk through an example of what the affordable resale price under this program would be, keeping in mind that this program is meant to provide affordability and stability for a home buyer. In this example, we take the initial purchase price and add 25% of the increase in value, or appraisal 2, which was done at resale, minus appraisal 1, which is what the home appraised for at purchase. Let's say the home buyer originally purchases a home for $420,000. At resale, let's say the home now appraises for $700,000. That's a $100,000 increase in market value from the original appraisal when they purchased the home. The homeowner is entitled to 25% of that $100,000 gain, which equals $25,000. So the maximum resale price is $420,000, which is the initial purchase price, plus $25,000, which is the 25% of equity share, which puts us at $445,000, which is what the new buyer would purchase the home for. This structure allows the homeowner to build some equity while ensuring that the home remains affordable for the next eligible buyer. So today, staff are seeking a recommendation from the Housing Commission for council action. This would be either a forward to City Council with a recommendation for approval. It would be a forward to City Council with a recommendation for approval with comments, or a forward to City Council with a recommendation for denial. The contract and program criteria, along with the Commission's recommendations, are scheduled to be presented to City Council on October 21st for review and approval. And we're excited to move forward with an experienced community partner to help implement and manage this next phase effectively. So with that, we can go to the last. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions or hear your comments, feedback.
Awesome. Thank you, Adriana. Before moving into comments, do you want to do a quick quorum check? Because I know Sandy left.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you.
How many do we need?
We've got 9 and we just need 7, so we're good to go.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I just didn't want to get us into trouble with open meeting laws after we just got that presentation. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so commissioners, if anyone has a comment or a question, if you could put a C or a Q in the chat, and I will kind of go down the order. The first person I see with a question is Moses.
Thank you. Adriana, could you confirm, I think I missed it, is this 125% or 150% AMI eligibility?
Thank you for that question, Commissioner Milazzo. You were right on point for both. The 150% is for the down payment assistance portion, and 125% is for the permanent affordability portion.
So what happens if somebody's at 145%, they only get the down payment assistance and not the permanent affordability?
Mm-hmm. So there's 2 phases. They can either benefit from the down payment assistance at $50,000 for up to those households that are under 150% of the area median income, or it's not both. Unfortunately, we can't layer. They can
Okay,
benefit.
that's the part that I
Yep.
was not understanding. I thought you could be eligible for both, and you have to make a choice, or well, I guess you do have to make a choice if you have a lower income than 125% of AMI, and one of those is obviously more beneficial, right?
Yes, that was the intent of the program.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Alrighty, I don't have any other Cs or Qs in the chat. So does anyone else have any other questions or comments for Adriana at this time about this program? Karen has a question. Sorry, Commissioner Flores.
Thank you. So Adriana, maybe I missed this, but with this new pilot program, is this coming about because we're seeing a need for people to fit that category that don't need the assistance but need lower price points?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Flores. It is definitely based on need. But also, since single family homes are so out of reach for a lot of our demographic, we wanted to make sure that we had a higher incentive to, one, add to our affordable housing stock, and then two, make sure that families have the option. It honestly, in my brain, as a previous housing authority employee, it equates to me as like a Section 8 voucher, but not necessarily. It's for like a higher income and higher demographic where they can choose which community they want to be a part of and purchase an already established home in an already established neighborhood at an affordable price, which you're not going to get right now. Does that answer your question?
It does. It's just, I know from my experiences, I feel that people have both problems. They don't have the down payment and they can't afford the house. So I'm just curious if we're going to see much of a need of this program. All I had.
Alrighty, thank you, Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Kellogg, you have a question?
Okay, so I was trying to follow along, but explain again the $180,000. Where does that go? Because it said it's not repayable, but where does it go?
So it goes into the house. The city
Okay.
would front $180,000, put it in the house, and then that
Okay.
way, if you, Jackie, want to buy a $600,000 home, you can get it for 420 in a neighborhood that you want to live in.
And then that rolls over to the next buyer.
Exactly.
Okay.
And thank you for asking that question because in our land trust and affordable home ownership program orientation, we emphasize that the city does not just get a big fat check at resale for 75% of the equity because the home buyer only gets 25 at resale, 25% of the equity. We don't get the rest. It just stays in the home and rolls over from owner to owner.
That's where I was going with that. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you.
All right, any other Qs or Cs from commission members? Adriana, I'm gonna guess not because I don't see anybody, but is there any public comment on this topic?
I'm not seeing any public comment, any members of the public, quite honestly, and I have no emails or requests otherwise.
Okay. That's what I thought as well. All right, so then you guys are looking for a motion that would recommend to City Council adoption of the proposed program changes, or not an adoption of the proposed program changes based on commission thoughts. Is that right?
Correct. We are requesting for recommendation to council either to approve the changes and the new program criteria for the pilot, either as presented with comments, or you can always deny the recommendation, a recommendation for denial.
Does anyone, last call for questions or comments, and otherwise I'm gonna ask for a motion. Oh, Karen, you have a question?
Yeah, what was the prior minimum I mean, I know currently the prior or the minimum's 1,000, but prior to the bond money, what was the minimum requirement for CHAP? For a buyer?
So we're proposing 2,500. The or what it is now is it's 1,000. And then Devonna, I don't recall if you remember anything before that. I think it's always been 1,000, right?
Well, I mean, way back in the day, I think it was a little higher, but right now the program kind of before the bond funds was $1,000 of buyer sourced funds. And so the change would increase that to 2,500 just to ensure that folks have a little bit more skin in the game out of that 5,000 that they're contributing. So going from 1,000 up to 2,500 of buyer sourced funds, and then the remainder could be a gift.
So the 2,500 has to be from the buyer, not a gift.
Correct.
And do you have any data based on the people that have been applying so far, if that seems to be feasible?
You know, what we've seen over the last couple of years is that people are actually coming in with well more than the minimum 5,000 anyway. So I don't think the 2,500 will be a barrier, and we haven't seen that be a big pushback from clients who are applying. So, I mean, the change isn't implemented yet. So right now it's 1,000, but I think we typically see folks have more than 1,000 to contribute of their own funds.
Okay. Yeah, that was just my concern, because if it creates more of a barrier, then that's not a good thing. But if you are seeing that be okay, then I'm good with it.
Just as prices have gone up and everything's gone up, I think people recognize that buying a house with $1,000 of their own money is probably not feasible anyway. So I don't think it's a huge barrier so far that we've seen.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Well, I mean, people come to us and say they want a house today, and we're like, well, that's not realistic either. So, yes, there are some folks who are trying to buy a house with like no money and no savings. But what we're finding typically is that people are coming in with more than 5,000 for the transaction to make it work for the most part, even with 40,000 or 50,000. So, yeah. Commissioner Kellogg, you have a question?
Who worked on this draft proposal for the new one? Was it a committee or staff or?
Yes, both. We had a working group, an informal working group. I mean, we've been working on it for about a year, so yes.
Of
And then
housing
staff.
commissioners?
What was that?
Of housing commissioners?
Yes, and I think Jen is online. Jen, do you remember who was on the informal working group? Can you help?
We didn't have I don't remember having an informal working group on this topic. We did a lot of research. Jessica Donahoe started doing a lot of research because this idea for the program that we're piloting is kind of similar to a program out of Colorado in some mountain community. I can't remember the name. But so we kind of looked at it and kind of morphed it for our purposes. And we had you know what it was? We had a work session with city council almost a year ago, proposing the new terms, and kind of like where we were headed with the new CHAP assistance, and then this like idea of a pilot program, and they gave their head nods. And then just the last year has been figuring out, gosh, it's been a blur. Doing the RSOQ, doing the procurement to procure a new service provider to administer the program. And I believe, since we've been working with Devonna on the new CHAP program, she was able to weigh in a lot more easily on like how to fine tune this pilot program.
I guess my
that
question
helpful?
would be is, did anybody on the Housing Commission work on the revisions?
A lot of this came from a recommendation also from the Housing Commission last year, Jackie, because it came from, I want to say the pilot program came to the commission back in January. No, August of last year. So there was some direction there and we took it and ran with it.
Okay.
And then it went to council in October of 2024, so August to the Housing Commission. It went to council in October, and now we're back with the polished, nearly complete pilot.
Okay,
Does that answer your question?
yes, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Or concerns, we want to hear those too.
Alrighty, seeing nothing out there, does anyone have a motion?
This is Moses. I move to forward the as written with a recommendation to approve.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Milazzo. We have a motion. Is anyone able to give a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Kellogg. We have a motion and a second to recommend forwarding the bond-funded Community Homebuyer Assistance Program and expansion guidelines for permanent affordability to the council for approval. All those in, oh, sorry, any further discussion? I forgot to ask that. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Awesome, thank you very much. All righty, appreciate it. I will now move on back to item 8A. So I know Commissioner Milazzo, you put some information in the chat. Do you want to tell us what you put in there and if there's any other things you want to add to your report?
I do. So a couple things that I wanted to mention. First, the utility allowances have gone down, so that impacts people's ability to receive coverage of their full utilities. It went down by an average of about $72 a month. And then we used to have the ability to provide up to 120% of fair market rent, but we are currently restricted to 110%. For various reasons having to do with the demographics and income levels and et cetera of our clients. And finally, not every fair market rent value went down for 2026. Studio and one bedroom went down or went up, and then the 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms FMRs went down relative to 2025. So that means that despite the fact that market prices here in Flagstaff have gone up, the allowed coverage has gone down. So for 2, 3, and 4 bedroom apartments, rentals. So basically there are some additional concerns that we may be seeing some more difficulty in housing in the next year or two. I hope what I said was clear. I don't know if I understood what I said. So if there are any questions, please ask.
So difficulty just because the value of the voucher goes down a little bit.
Yeah, and as we know, the cost of rent has gone up.
Okay, cool. Any other questions for Commissioner Milazzo? Awesome, thank you so much. I appreciate the update. Item 8B is update from housing commissioners and other informational items. Does anyone have anything they want to share? Alrighty, seeing nobody jumping in there with Caesar cues or raising their hand. We'll move on then to item 8C, which is update from housing staff. Not sure who wants to go. Oh, Christine wants to go first. Please take it away.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm sitting in the dark here and I realized that might look weird. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up that we've been talking about this for a while, but we're working on our CDBG 5-year consolidated plan. And we are going to have the consultants who are helping us do our housing needs assessment here in town October 29th and 30th. And so we are aiming to host a community event on the evening or the afternoon of October 29th around 4:30 until about 6:30 or 7. This is an opportunity for folks, especially those who live in target neighborhoods, to come and talk about the way they would like to see federal funding used, maybe in their neighborhoods for parks or drainage or new lighting, things like that. And then we will also have a public meeting probably the next day specifically for our nonprofit partners and folks that might be interested in applying for funds as an external agency to kind of get their feedback as to what needs they see in the community and what they would like to see funds prioritized for. We're also going to be sending out a survey. We have 2 different surveys, one for residents and one for stakeholders. And so all of you would be considered stakeholders. And so we will be sending that survey to you, and we'd be so grateful if you could complete that and share it with your organizations and your community. And we'll send you the link for the resident survey too, so you can share that with friends and family who aren't in the housing industry, I would say, or in social services industry. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me, but you'll see those in the next 2 weeks here. Thanks.
Thanks, Christine. If we're nonprofits who work with residents who are low income, would you want us to maybe forward that resident survey to our residents?
Yes, please. That would be amazing. Thank you. That's a great idea. And we'll be asking other social services organizations to do the same.
Cool. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions for Christine? All righty. Next in line is Jen.
Okay. Hi, guys. Thanks. This is Jen Michelson, Housing Planning Manager. I just have an update on the Adaptive Reuse Bond Program that was very recently reviewed by this commission and adopted by council earlier this month. We were able to launch it really quickly after adoption. Thank you, Christine, for developing an application for those funds. I just wanted the commission to know that we've already received 2 applications for funding, which is great and exciting. Just as a reminder, we had $3 million available in that pot of money, and already over $2 million is being reserved. So we'll have more information on that as we go along. We need to keep working on loan documents and things like that. But yeah, it's just exciting because this program has developed and kind of come online so quickly. And it feels like we're going to be really able to get these funds out a lot faster to applicants this time for this program. So there we go.
Cool. Thank you, Jen. Any questions for Jen? All righty. Moving on then to Aiden. What is your update?
Hi, for those that don't know me, I'm Aiden. I'm working as an administrative specialist for the housing office, and I want to give an update on the homebuyer education and resource event we hosted in partnership with NAR and Housing Solutions earlier this month. We had an amazing turnout with almost 100 attendees, both online and in person, who came to learn about the home buying and lending process, as well as available resources like chat. Thank you, Karen and Ivana, for your amazing presentations. If you missed it, you can still access the recording presentation and resources on the city's website. But looking ahead, October is Housing America Month, and we'll be celebrating by spotlighting affordable housing successes across Flagstaff. We'll be visiting properties where affordable units have been created with city support, taking pictures and sharing details like the affordability tools used, the number of affordable units, and the income level served. The spotlights will highlight the impact of affordable housing as well as increase the support for its development on city-owned land. We'll also be sharing YIMBY or Yes in My Backyard focused content to help the community better understand why an abundance of housing and housing types matters and how increasing affordability benefits all neighborhoods. So just keep an eye out on our social media pages for that.
Cool. Thanks, Aiden.
Yeah.
Adriana, I see that you're next.
Thank you, Devonna. Last year for Housing America Month, Aiden and I decided, or for Fair Housing Month, Aiden and I decided to lug around a door around the community and have it signed, and that was a lot of work, so figured we'd tone it down a notch. Thank you, Aiden. My comment is related to Jackie, and I know Jackie was not expecting to be put on the spot, but I wanted to acknowledge that she purposely, on purpose, chose to reapply for the commission and stay with us so that she could celebrate Thanksgiving with us for another year or 3. And we are so grateful that she was reappointed to the Housing Commission and is going to be joining all of our fun for a few more years. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank
Happy you're
you.
here.
Yay. Thanks for hanging out with us crazy folks for 3 more years. That'll be great.
I wouldn't rather be anywhere else.
I love it. Haley says woohoo in the chat, so you have lots of fans. All right, so I think the only other staff person on here is Justina. Do you have an update at all, Justina? Okay, I'm gonna take, oh, there she is.
I do not. Everyone
Oh.
did such a good job, so I do not. Thank you, though.
I didn't want to miss you, so I thought I'd just
That's
call you
very
out.
nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
She wanted to say she's really happy to be spending Thanksgiving with all of us too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you mean by the Thanksgiving thing, but it's all good.
Our
Yeah.
meetings always fall on Thanksgiving, obviously,
I know, but then we don't have them.
because
we
nobody
can-
wants to. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to play that day.
When you said that, I was looking at Jackie's face and I was like, I don't think she gets what Adriana means either.
No, I did not get the
Alrighty, so that
Thanksgiving
seems-
thing,
Oh,
That's so funny. Thanks, Devonna. Bye.
yeah, sorry. So that's the update from housing staff. I am gonna take the last opportunity as commissioner to do something out of order. So I should have reported during the update from commissioners and other informational items. I wanted to let you guys know that we have officially helped 3 home buyers through the bond funded CHAP program purchase a first home since it launched at the beginning of August. And we have 2 other home buyers under contract. So we've seen a huge influx of demand and interest in the program, conducting housing counseling and eligibility determinations. But yeah, to date, we've already spent $150,000 to help those first 3 families and have 2 more already under contract. So we're seeing great utilization of the program. And then I am tracking things because that means Housing Solutions through various funding sources, including CHAP, City of Flagstaff, EAH, Cottonwood, Sedona, WISH programs, et cetera. We've helped 485 families buy a first home with direct financial assistance since we started administering funds in 1999. I'm expecting us to hit 500 this fiscal year, which ends June 30th. So I'm 15 households away from hitting that 500 household marker. So we'll keep you posted as we get closer, but thanks to the city for their investment. It's already paying off to help families put down roots here in Flagstaff. Our recent home buyers are employed by FUSD and Mission Linen. So they were able to secure CHAP funds and layer in WISH assistance as well, which is kind of fun. So anyway, it's a fun program to get to see folks put down roots and buy first homes. I know folks who work with first-time home buyers are also in this room, and it's always a joy. So thank you for all of that, and we'll continue to report on impact. Any other last update comments anyone wants to share before we adjourn?
Ivana, can I?
Yeah.
I have a comment in the, I have 2 things. First, I'd like to note that Ivana didn't mention it, but Housing Solutions has completed its housing attainability report. And I think that it would be great if we could share that at some point.
Sorry, we just started doing the data on that, but we have our annual report out.
Right. That's what I meant.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Nope, you're
And
good.
then second, I'd like to thank Devana for being a fantastic chair for the past 2 years, and just end with a positive note of thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Moses. It'll be nice to just get to come and hang out and then only talk when I have something to say and not have to worry about all the agenda items. So I appreciate you taking over. It'll be great.
And you can roll your eyes at me as I make up my own mistakes.
I do not. Yeah, you could roll your eyes at me. I do not, because I know it's not easy. Like, yeah, Adriana sometimes texts me on the side, like, you forgot this. I'm like, yeah, whoops. Okay, I'll fix it. So you have that to look forward to, Moses, just so you know. So yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll forget a lot. Adriana
Yeah,
can
she'll
babysit
keep
me.
you on track. It'll be great. Awesome. All righty. Well, thank you, everybody. And we'll adjourn for the day and we'll see you all again in October. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wait, Adriana, am I good?
You're good.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, Devana. I cannot believe I didn't do it.